Hey, Vanessa, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. A little hot out here.
Dude, it's just getting started this summer.
Yes, it is.
Are y'all going to have another hottest summer of all time?
I would say so, yes.
Golly, you'll need a break. You'll need a break. What a mess. All right, so what's going on, Vanessa?
So I am calling to ask. I don't know how to properly interact with my almost ex-husband, set appropriate boundaries, as well as encourage him to, I guess, make more of an effort with our oldest daughter who has some anger and resentment.
Can I make a joke?
Go ahead.
You could have called me and said, I really need to know just the right spell so that I can defeat Voldemort just like Harry did that one time. That's basically the question you just asked me. Have you filed for divorce?
I have.
Okay, so it's in process?
Yes.
And I'm sure he's being just a ray of sunshine and acting like an adult as y'all separate things?
He is not.
No, he's being a child.
Yeah.
So would you sit down and ask a 7-year-old to act like an adult?
No.
No. You don't even engage in that conversation. And so the heartbreaking part of the situation you're in is there's not a lot you can do other than to protect your kids.
Okay.
And you know how important a relationship with, how old is your daughter?
12.
12. You know, you've been a 12-year-old little girl. You know how important that relationship is with dad. And it breaks your heart to see him burn it down because he's got an ego and an anger issue.
Right.
And that's his choice. And I hate that. There's nothing you can do about it. And the more you try to force it, the more it just creates more chaos. How is he avoiding her or not being the dad that he needs to be with her?
I think he feels, which is valid, he feels the anger and the resentment. He sees it on her face.
Why doesn't he solve it with love and connection and care?
Because in his mind, she doesn't understand the full story.
She never will. She's 12. She's not supposed to understand the full story.
But he is the type that is proud and stubborn, and
that makes him a child.
Yes. Yes. So I think he's just given up on trying with her. He's like, it's too far gone now, whatever.
That's so gross. It pisses me off, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you just said in a very kind way is dad quit on 12-year-old girl because 12-year-old girl wasn't singing and dancing in a way that makes his precious little heart feel good. And that pisses me off because 12-year-old girls need to be 12-year-olds. Same with little boys. And it's the adults' job to act like adults. I'll be ridiculous for a second. If the reason y'all getting divorced is because you hooked up with 7 of his friends, and he has every reason to despise you and leave you and all that, he still has a responsibility to show up and love that 12-year-old girl as though she's one of the most, if not the most important woman in his life. Doesn't matter what happened to his precious little ego. It's a 12-year-old little girl, man. I know you know that. I just get mad. I get mad when parents cash out on their kids because they don't even understand. They're not acting right. They're 12. They're 7. They're 17. They're kids.
Right.
God almighty, I'm sorry. Why y'all getting divorced? Did you get the brunt end of this too?
So we are getting a divorce because similar. Everything's about him, what he wants on his time. And when I was completely 100% ready to commit in our marriage, he was not. He wanted to do what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And it was very much, I was a yo-yo. I was his yo-yo. He would throw me back and forth. He was in the military, so we were overseas, and whenever he didn't want to be in the marriage, he'd just send me home. And then he'd call and say, I can't live without y'all. And I'd go back, and it would be a constant in our life until I finally said, I can't do this anymore. This is not healthy for our children. I can't do this. I deserve more.
Good for you.
And when I finally did that, when I took that stand, he didn't like it. He didn't like that. So, yeah. So basically, I filed for divorce. We've been separated since 2018. He got out of the military in 2021, and he has been nothing but chaos in our life.
Why in the world why has it taken 6 years to finalize a divorce in the state of Texas?
He did not want, I knew I wasn't at that point, and so I wanted to give my time to heal. He was still overseas, and I was like, it's fine. He's gone. He doesn't want to file right now because he doesn't want to do a divorce overseas. I'll give him that. I'm going to heal in the meantime and work on me and the girls. And then when he finally came back, I said, okay, well, you can come around. Possibly we can reconcile now that you're home. And it just got worse. And
what got worse? Anger outburst, rage, physical abuse, cheating on you. What got worse?
Cheating on me, lies. I lost my dad in 2022. And I think that was the one and only time that I probably reached out for him in just a moment of, this is my selfish moment. And I just need you to just be quiet and just be here for me, be present. And he said some very ugly things, and he couldn't just lay it down and be there for me. And I think that's what really broke me and broke any trust I could have ever had in him. I was like, wow, just in that one moment, you just had to be my person, even if it was as a friend, as the father of my children. You just needed to do that one thing, and it broke me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't anymore. This is like beyond over.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's beyond like divorce stuff. That's just cruel, right?
Right.
Because if some random person from your office called and said, hey, my dad just passed away, will you just come talk to me for a minute? You would go, right?
Yes.
Much less somebody you've created lives with. I hate that for you.
Thank you.
When's your divorce finalized?
I have been trying to get it finalized. He at first didn't have a lawyer. Now he wants a lawyer, so he's just pushing back a lot. He doesn't want the kids. I know that. I mean, he wants them, but he doesn't want them full time. So it's just a lot of pushback. He doesn't.
I mean, what's there to push back? He does not want to pay child support or something?
No, he'll pay child support. He just wants me. So anything he can do to prolong it, he does. It's
just left. I'm struggling to wrap my head around the words. It's a good grief. I'm embarrassed now that I don't know off the top of my head, because I used to just know it off the top of my head. But in the state of Texas, there comes a moment when somebody can just, so a strategy is, I don't believe the county that we live in or that I live in has the resources to actually come to my house because I didn't show up for any of this stuff and actually force the sale of this home and split everything up. I call your bluff. I'm not ever going to respond to a letter. I'm not going to respond to anything from the court. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do nothing. There is a point that your lawyer can simply get a trial date, and you go before a judge and say, here's all the times I've tried. Here's all the things, and they can settle it right there. And then they send a letter out, and the person has 30 days to respond or something like that. But if that's their game, to just stall and stall and stall and stall, they end up shooting themselves in the foot because the letter
Correct.
says everything's final after that 30 day. Here's my guess. My guess is there's a teeny, teeny, tiny part of Vanessa that is still hanging on to this thing.
I don't like to get into, I'm very strong. I can get into it with him, but I don't like it when it gets to that point because there's rage texts and there's threats and there's all these, and
But you have
gives me
not,
anxiety.
you haven't blocked him. And you haven't filed a no contact order because of the way he talks to you.
I've tried.
And they said no?
They said no.
Why?
Yeah. They said that the language that he used was not hard enough, and so they couldn't grant me that.
Okay, so delete it.
Civil. It was domestic.
So delete it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I want you to take full ownership of this.
I agree, yeah.
And by the way, you hired a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, you've hired an assassin. Let them do their job. People hire lawyers, and then they pay this retainer. And in your case, they're probably between $5,000 and $15,000 you've already paid out. But then you keep texting on the side, and you keep trying to settle things on the side. You've hired your assassin. Let them go do their assassin's job. Let your attorney go fight for you. That's why you hire them. And then you stop responding and be as present and as close and as great as a mom as you know how to be. And grieve your dad because you haven't written him a letter and let him go yet. Because when he finally goes, you're going to feel all alone doing this thing. You're trying to hang on to him too. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did everything you could to fight for this marriage. But the bell rang. Like the final buzzer has already rang. It's over. And you're still trying to shoot layups to try to like move the score. You can't move the score. You don't want to play.
Right.
So you hired a lawyer, let your lawyer do your lawyer jobs, and then you go about creating a new world. Are you working?
I am.
Good. How's that going?
I love my job.
Awesome. Is it enough to provide for you and the girls?
It is enough, yes.
Okay. Do you have a place to live?
I do.
Amazing. I'm asking you to say these things out loud because you're already taking steps. You're just so in it, you don't realize how far you've actually moved. You're way stronger than you think you are. You just have to let your dad go. And my recommendation is write him a letter and tell him how much you love him, how much you miss him. And in the letter, talk about what kind of mom and woman you're going to be. Then let him go.
Okay.
He was a good guy?
He was amazing.
What was his dad? What was his name?
John.
John. It's awesome. It's probably the greatest name of all time. A little bit biased, but don't start it with Dear John. Start it with Dear Dad. There's a whole thing.
Okay.
And let your husband be your ex-husband. And here's the deal. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to extend it. I'm not going to fight. I'm not fighting you. I have hired an attorney. That's their job. And you do have to stay on divorce attorneys sometimes. Because they often take humongous caseloads because things can get so routine. And there can be, after a while, an economic incentive to keep dragging it out.
Okay.
So say, I want this thing over by this date. I want to be done with this.
Okay.
I need all the paperwork filed. And it's worth, if you haven't put down a retainer, it's worth getting the best attorney you can get for the dollar amount you can get. There is a class of attorney that will prey on people in your situation. And I know personally attorneys who are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Who will look at your situation and say, not on my watch. I'm not going to have some big, tough egomaniac shoving around a woman and her little girls. Not going to do it. And they'll earn their $10,000 or their $7,500. They will. And it's kind of fun to watch. They're amazing. And this process always takes longer than you think it's going to, and it's always more frustrating. That's why I say let your lawyer do your lawyer job, and then you go on about your day.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This guy has repeatedly proven he does not want to be married to you. He does not want to love you. He doesn't want to build a world with you. He needs his children to massage his ego. And he needs you to sit on the sideline in a chair, and he'll call you into the game when he gets good and ready. And that's not marriage. Right?
Right.
And you swore to yourself you'd never get divorced when you got married, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Vanessa, you call anytime. I'm going to hook you up with a few things, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to send you, I'm just taking a wild guess here, just because I look at the data. This is not directed at you. This is just my understanding of what it looks like when a mom decides to free herself from this kind of madness. And she ends up, in an effort to do what's right and to save herself, she ends up single mom. I'm going to send you Financial Peace University from the Ramsey Solutions where I work.
Okay.
And it's going to teach you how to to handle your money. And you've probably been doing that your whole life, but I just want to give you this as a gift. I'm also going to send you Every Dollar, the best budgeting app on the planet, for a year for free. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to send you Building a Non-Anxious Life, my book, and I want you and your daughters to go through it. Y'all can do it together. I handed it to my son when he was 12, probably 13, and he read it in a few days, and we've talked about it since.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be a cool little roadmap you can make for your new reality, your new world. Is that cool?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Hang on the line here, Vanessa. We're going to get you hooked up. And I'm really grateful that you called. But big picture, somebody's enraged and they're angry and they belittle you and they demean you and they cheat on you. They are telling you, because behavior is a language, I do not want to be in a relationship with you. I want you to serve me. I want to own you. And that's not how relationships should work. And so there is no sitting down. There's not a thing you didn't say. There's not an action you didn't take. You've tried for years and years and years. There's just that moment that drop your shoulders, drop all of it, and you have to weep. It's called grief. You wanted it to be one way and it's not. And then you have to ask yourself that terrifying question, what am I going to do now? And I want you to look back and see you've been asking that question, you've been doing it. You're an amazing woman. Keep going.